This is Kirsty Nolan from London Studio. Welcome to our coverage of the latest developments in Ukraine. Today, we focus on the White House meeting between US President Donald Trump, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and key European leaders, which concluded with discussions on security guarantees for Ukraine and potential next steps towards ending the conflict. During the talks, President Trump paused the meeting to speak directly with Russian President Vladimir Putin, confirming plans for a bilateral summit between Zelensky and Putin within the next 2 weeks, although the location has not yet been determined. Zelensky expressed his readiness for any format of meeting and emphasized he does not want to impose conditions, while German Chancellor Friedrich Merz noted that the proper preparation is required. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte clarified that discussions about the Ukrainian borders were not part of the talks, and that any discussions regarding territory must be agreed upon directly by Zelensky and Putin, with coalition security guarantees in place. This development signals a potential early step towards a negotiated resolution in Ukraine, with key issues like security guarantees and territorial discussions still to be addressed. We are joined today by Ashley Burke, a seasoned journalist covering international diplomacy and US foreign policy. Ashley, it's a pleasure to have you with us. President Zelensky spoke to media outside the White House following the meeting. Can you summarize what he had to say and the key points he emphasized?
Yeah, he spoke just outside the gates of the White House tonight and said that he had a long discussion with Donald Trump over a map in the Oval Office that showed Russian-captured territories in Ukraine. President Zelensky said that he argued about the percentage on the map, and he said that it's not possible that that much territory had been taken over, but also said that he had a warm and meaningful conversation with Donald Trump and included that he shouldn't have any conditions tied to a meeting with Russia. Trump said that he spoke to Vladimir Putin today and said he's already working on getting both of those leaders at a table together. And take a listen to what Ukraine's leader said about that.
When we watch these high-level meetings and see the statements that come out of them, much of it is about the tone as well as substance. Today, there seems to have been a noticeable shift in tone. Can you talk to us about what that might signal?
How much warmer the tone was. President Zelensky really appeared to be doing everything he can to try and ensure these talks today didn't go off the rails like last time. In February, when he visited the White House, it was a disaster. He was publicly berated and called ungrateful. So today we saw him make some changes. He wore a suit instead of his usual military attire. He arrived with a delegation of some of the most powerful European leaders to back him up. And he repeatedly thanked Donald Trump for all that he's done, including to help stop the war. But Germany's chancellor made it clear to Trump what the Europeans were asking for, and it's a ceasefire. Now, Trump seemed to evade that European push for a ceasefire. In the past, he had said it was a goal, but after his meeting with Putin in Alaska, coming out of that, he didn't reach that agreement, and now is making it seem like it's less of a priority for him. But Trump did keep his promise he kept his promise for NATO-like security guarantees pretty vague today. We didn't hear any details, but he said he believes if these talks do continue between them, like all three leaders, that there is a reasonable chance of ending the war. Germany's leader said tonight that Putin and Zelensky are expected to meet in the next 2 weeks.
Thank you, Ashley, for sharing your perspective with us today. We are also joined by Michael Byers, Professor of Global Politics and International Law at the University of British Columbia. Michael, it's great to have you with us. Zelensky and Putin are reportedly set to meet within the next 2 weeks. From your perspective, how realistic is this meeting? And if it does take place, what are the likely discussions or outcomes that could emerge?
Well, President Zelensky has been looking for a meeting with Vladimir Putin for some months now. In fact, just 2 months ago, he was in Istanbul and Russian negotiators were due to arrive. And President Zelensky said that he hoped that President Putin would be part of that delegation. What's been very strange up to this point is that President Donald Trump has been negotiating with President Putin without President Zelensky being there, even though Ukraine is a necessary participant in any peace deal. So this is good, I think, from the perspective of Ukraine, face-to-face negotiations between the two leaders who matter most.
From what we I understand, Ukraine is unwilling to cede more territory, while Russia seeks to maintain control of the areas it has already captured, approximately 20% of Ukraine. Are we at a point in this conflict where Zelensky might realistically consider negotiating on territory, or is that still a non-starter?
Well, let's be clear that the acquisition of territory by military force is categorically prohibited under international law. This aggression by Russia is a clear violation of the United Nations Charter. That being said, it is possible with Ukraine's consent to give up some of its own sovereign territory. So we'll see what happens during the negotiations. It's also worth remembering that we're not just talking about the Donbass, that Russia illegally annexed Crimea in 2014. So it may be that the ultimate compromise is that Russia gets to keep Crimea, but withdraws from the Donbass. There's so much we don't know right now, but again, it is up to Ukraine to decide what price it is willing to pay for peace.
Thank you so much, Michael, for your expert analysis and insight. That wraps up our discussion on the latest White House talks regarding Ukraine. We thank our guests, Ashley Burke and Michael Byers, for helping us understand the nuances of these developments and what might come next. Stay tuned as we continue to follow this evolving story and bring you updates from around the globe.